Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turn now to poem 693, Shells from the Coast Mistaking. And that word mistaking is going to be central, I think, to this poem. This is another Sue poem, as we have referenced them. We are in many ways back to poems 299, 424, 452. You'll remember our study already, our assumptions that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net down that left-hand side. Chats with Emily's our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've worked through our set of introductory comments where we commented on Sue, who is this important friend, some will say lover, who goes on to marry her brother, and then they become associated through two houses that are side by side. And as Emily increasingly becomes less and less social and visible, it will be Sue that she doesn't see for a long time later in her life. I'm hopeful as well that you've been working through these poems with me up through 692. We just finished 692, the sun kept setting. Because I want to point out that in those earlier poems that we studied, 299, 424, 452, Sue is seen as inaccessible, unable to be even approached. In this poem, it seems to be something different. I want you to notice the tone of this poem too. It goes from kind of what one scholar has called light and worldly to, by the end of this poem, a little bit darker tone. Shells from the coast mistaking, I cherished them for all, happening in after ages to entertain a pearl. Wherefore so late, I murmured, my need of thee be done. Therefore, the pearl responded, my period began. Now, of course, you could ask, why didn't she use the word begun to rhyme with done? And this is just pure Emily. At the moment you think you can predict what she's going to do, she'll do something quite different. Now, the shells here could be, and one scholar has argued that it's back to poem 39 and the birdlings, which are her old friends before she met Sue. Others have argued, like Ruth Miller, no, these shells from the earlier time are not, in fact, friends, but rather Emily's poems. So how you read this poem will have a lot to do with how you decide what these shells are from the coast mistaking. Notice, I cherished them for all, notice capitalized, everything, but then happening in after ages. Emily's 31 years old when she writes this poem. She has already matured into a poet, into a writer, and some would argue into a lover, given the master poems, unless you assume the master poems are Sue, which most don't. Happening in after ages to entertain a pearl. Now, again, her use of pearl in 452 and 320, 270, 299, 693, 424, 466. The pearl of great price, of course, of Matthew 13, 46 comes to mind. The willingness to give up everything for the pearl. As she says in one poem, all is the price of all. She says, I was ready to give up everything for this pearl. Some have said this is Sue. Others read this poem as, no, this is the pearl of great price. The willingness to give up everything for her poetry. She says, wherefore so late? And I think maybe that's the key word of the poem. I murmured. We'll see this word murmured in 1385. You want to write that down because we're going to come back to it. My need of thee be done. In other words, finished. I don't need it anymore, the pearl. Therefore, the pearl responded, my period began. Notice no punctuation at the end of this poem. The scholar Leiter has pointed out that the poem's ending, this poem's ending, asserts that only when one no longer wants something does one actually get it. When we get to poem 1427, we're going to play this game. It's a brilliant little poem that we'll come back to. To earn it by disdaining it is fame's consummate fee. He loves what spurns him. Look behind. He is pursuing thee. So let us gather every day the aggregate of life's bouquet, be honor and not be shame. We'll come back to this idea. I think at 2a, the point Emily's making here is that life is sometimes a mistaking and then a leaving. At 2b, the tone here is remarkable, it seems to me. It does start kind of light, and it ends kind of dark. At 3a, well, think about what is said, Linda Lohman says to Willie Lohman in Miller's Death of a Salesman, Act 1. What does she say? Life is a casting off, dear, you'll recall. Finally, at 3b, when was a time when you had to leave something, even a pearl, because you had to keep moving on? Thank you.